And there we are. Okay. LSU gets a big win over Ole Miss, finishes the season at 5-5, 53-48 win over Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss in the rain. Preston and I were sort of stranded in the press box later than we'd like. I'd hope to get us uncorked as early as we've been doing most of these shows in the previous weeks. What more can you say about Kayshon Boutte in the night he had? 308 yards, 3 touchdowns. How many receptions, Preston?
That was 14 receptions.
14 receptions, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, slant routes absolutely carved up Ole Miss's defense. Of course, LSU's defense had their problems today as well. I know everybody was, I was getting my phone blown up. I'm sure Preston was. Our message boards were, Bo Pelini's got to go, and I assure you all, Bo Pelini's reign the Bo Pelini era in Baton Rouge is going to be a one and done. And I don't think you guys have anything to worry about that. I think it's not going to be a very uneventful holiday season because I think there's going to be some things. Maybe I'm wrong. I know there's some that think LSU can take their time. I don't think you can. I think you need to make a move, particularly if there's some highly desirable coaches out there that can be had. There's going to be other coaching changes at other schools in NFL that are to be made. And I think Ed Orgeron and them need to pinpoint their guys and go for them, get interviews, and we'll see how it goes. So, of course, we're brought to you every week by Kenneth P. Haynes, attorney at law. We'll talk more about him as the show progresses. And of course, he's been with us all season long. Visit his law firm in the description. I'll talk more about him a little bit, but Preston, go ahead and give him your thoughts.
Yeah, guys. So look, I think we're going to start with the game itself and then kind of ease our way into the season as a whole, just recapping that. So wild finish to the game tonight. I mean, back-to-back weeks, LSU has an absolutely wild game. And although it's nothing compared to the Florida game last week in terms of upsetting the opponent, in terms of just the craziness, the shoegate, all that good stuff. Just wild in the sense that you forced 5 first-half interceptions, and you still gave up 48 points.
Well, you brought up the good point too. What's the difference? Because there was at one point, I haven't pulled the final stats up, but towards the end of the game, they were almost even offensive yards, LSU and Ole Miss. The difference was, like you said, LSU had 4 field goals.
Yeah, well, that was a huge point too. LSU could not finish these drives. Now, the 50-yarder, good. When you intercept the ball and you get it on the 29-yard line or 31-yard line, you expect to be able to drive 31 yards. But part of that is that Max Johnson is a little more reserved as a quarterback, and he's not going to throw the ball if he thinks it's a dangerous throw. I think he made one throw like that all year. I get there were probably a couple of dropped interceptions, but that one in the corner of the end zone where he was throwing it up to Boutte, I think he was getting a little playful there with Boutte. He just said, man, this dude Boutte can catch anything. Let's try.
No, and honestly, if Boutte had a drop that hit him right in the hands, it probably would have added another, I don't know what that.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at the tape. There was probably a good 30-yarder.
A few drops. He had 2 or 3 drops.
So, I mean, he might have had another 50 yards on some drops. But
clearly he stepped up big time. I think we've all seen he's flashed that potential. He really needs to work on consistency with his hands next year. He should be one of the top receivers in the country.
Yeah, and big thanks. In this, normally that's what LSU Sports Information does. We've seen it over and over the years where you've got a freshman with a breakout game, and they brought him out to be interviewed when such a game occurs. And got the full interview of Kayshon Boutte on the front page of TigerBait.com for you guys to check out after the show. Got Ed Orgeron up there, Lane Kiffin, and all the Ole Miss players. We got all that video up. Got Preston's post-game story. We got Brian Lazar's analysis piece, which is darn good as well. So got a whole lot for you on TigerBait.com. So let's get to some of your comments. Start off with Mike Smith. Boutte is a superstar, and Max Johnson is a future superstar. A lot of reasons to be excited going to the offseason, and I think very much a positive. You end 5-5 with 2 wins and in a row. And now, you get to get excited about coaching changes, and hopefully we get a spring football practice. I look at, what was that date on Easter? April what? 4th. It was like the first Sunday.
It's like very early. It's
Very
like
early, so I'm assuming that'll mean we'll have a March spring football practice, and I'm not even thinking about COVID. I'm acting like, everything's going to be like we hope they'll be. And so then we'll have a spring football practice. You're going to have 4 quarterbacks there, new coaches on both sides of the ball. You finish with 2 wins, and I think there's some reasons to be upbeat, and just need to get through some of the off the field stuff, the Title IX and all that kind of stuff that's still lingering out there, and I think we'll see how this progresses. But there, no doubt about it, there is a lot of work to be done, a lot of hand wringing. I mean, there's some people out there that say, man, it's going to be a tall order to get LSU back to where people want it to be, and a lot of it's going to be about personnel, and some of the, it's not just a matter of making a move on some guys and just, they really need to do their homework. And I'm not saying, look, you need to fire Bo Pelini tomorrow and then have a new DC in 3 days. If it takes time, then let it take time. So we'll see how this progresses. Scott Tronhall, LSU offense in the red zone is not as efficient as we were last year. Inexperienced players play a role, and maybe we miss Brady. Well, look, if Joe Brady had come back this year, I don't think they would have been as productive as they were last year with everything they missed.
There have been some drop off.
Right.
A lot of people criticize the offensive play calling this year. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I really don't. I think it was B minus most of the year play calling wise.
I think red zone there were some issues.
Yeah, but ultimately.
But you're talking about 2 freshman quarterbacks. You lose Miles Brennan early in the season. No Jamar Chase, no Terrace Marshall. Terrace Marshall played most of the way, but still in an offensive line that has not performed very well. They've had their moments. I think there's some spots they've improved, but still.
Look, let's be honest. On the offensive side of the ball, their issues, if you're going to criticize the coaches on anything, we're talking about roster management. Okay, I don't think it is X's and O's on the offensive side of the ball. I think it was just you were just famished. You lost your top 3 receivers, 2 of which were supposed to be back, and the other one, if you push him to come back for a senior year, could have been back.
Yep.
You didn't get any of them. You went 0 for 3.
Samuel Hostin, the freshmen are growing up in front of our eyes, and that is a silver lining, Samuel. Good comment. With the new class coming in, LSU is going to give 5 teams a lot of problem next season. And no doubt, with what was signed on Wednesday, I get a lot of people asking me, who are you most excited about next year? And you guys know I'm real high on Savion Jones, Jack Besh, Chris Hilton's lights out. I think Landon Jackson's going to be a juggernaut. Mason Smith, obviously. Sage Ryan. There's a lot of good components there. Need to finish out with some more offensive linemen, but I think there's a lot to be excited about personnel-wise. You still got a numbers problem, obviously, between attrition, draft. Look, I think we're about to have a real busy news cycle. I was telling Jacques Doucet in the press box earlier tonight, I'm like, man, don't think because we're hitting a Christmas stretch and other than high school championship games in Natchitoches early next week, in LSU football season over this is going to be easy. I think between personnel changes on the LSU staff, of course, a lot of recruiting to be had. We're going to be covering a lot more guys on TigerBait.com in the month of January than we thought we would have, particularly offensive linemen and who those guys might be. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very busy, and if you get your text alerts on TigerBait.com, I think you're going to be getting a lot of them from us if you're a subscriber. Blaine Smith, you called it last night. I was at Karen Crow, Neville. Man, I thought that was going to be Karen Crow just laid the wood to Neville. Of course, I was there to see Will Campbell, and
they only scored 81 points the week before.
Yeah, Karen Crow Carr, what kind of game is that going to be? But Blaine said Blaine hit me in when we were on Facebook Live that he thought Karen Crow about 14. Man, he missed it by a whole lot. They were up by almost 30 in the first quarter in a blink of an eye. So Blaine Smith, both should be fired Monday. They should have candidates already in mind. They do, and I know for a fact they do. So there's going to be a lot of staff changes. I think 2 weeks ago I set the over and under on 4, as in 4 of current staffers returning. So do you take the under or do you take the over? leave your comment in the section. Please do us a favor, by the way. Hit the like button on Facebook and on YouTube, depending on where you're watching us. Also, share on Facebook to your Facebook timeline. Please share it, and much appreciated for all you guys that do that for us and getting the word out on TigerBait.com. Jarrett Choulier, quarterbacks should be open for competition. I agree until spring. In the spring, we have to name a starter, because if it's not Miles, he's owed a chance if he wants to transfer. I think you open it wide open. You get Garrett Nussmeier there in a couple of weeks. Max Johnson finished out the way he did. TJ Finley's got a lot of possibilities to work with. Miles Brennan, depending on how healthy he is. Like I said, I think spring practice is going to start probably mid-March. I'm looking at that Easter date. Do they put in 2 weeks before Easter and then have a 2 week after Easter, and then have like a spring game, like third week in April, something like that? You don't want that to go long, depending on when the spring evaluation period is. And I assure you, college coaches are going to be going ballistic for a spring evaluation period. And little Parker's in the room and wanting Preston to give him a pet. I didn't.
What y'all think?
I didn't keep Parker downstairs where y'all been hearing him bark the last 2 shows. Let's see.
So I get a lot of comments, and look, I've heard this from a ton of LSU fans. Muschamp to DC. I think me and you are both on the same page.
I'm not.
No is the answer,
I'm no
right?
on Muschamp.
Yeah, I mean, look, my thought is, as just someone looking at football team, I don't want anyone who hasn't called plays and been a DC.
I don't want any retreads.
Football has changed way too much. I want someone who's called defensive plays for the last 5 years. Period. Someone else asked about Dennis Allen from the Saints. No. Yeah,
I'm very high on the defensive coordinator at Cincinnati, and I've got some intel on that I think he will be on the list. And I've heard about the DC at Wisconsin, but go look at the bio of the defensive coordinator at Cincinnati. He's a young African-American defensive coordinator who calls a great defense, and he is an unbelievable recruiter. He checks so many boxes. The players love him up there. Obviously, Cincinnati and the amount of money that a defensive coordinator makes there is nowhere near the ballpark that can be paid at LSU. Even if you came in and paid him less than you paid defensive coordinators the last 3 or 4 that have been hired, you still probably double what he's making at Cincinnati. Go look at that bio.
By the way, his name is Marcus Freeman, okay, and he's 34.
He is a stud, and I've talked to my guy at Ohio State about him. He's a former Buckeye. Players love him, and he can recruit like hell. Like I said, that's one of the things that they need to do on this staff. It's get some youth. That's why I'm against the retreads. And hell, I mean, Muschamp's about my age, so I'm basically throwing my generation out. But still, get some young guys in there, so they're more relatable. And also you need more recruiters. I mean, it's just a fact. So
yeah, that was one thing. Anytime you're naming an NFL coach, y'all, you have to understand, most of the time guys in the NFL are there, they don't like recruiting. Okay, if you like recruiting, you usually stick around in the college ranks. And I don't think Orgeron's interested in anybody who's not going to be a pretty good recruiter, right? I mean, that's.
What's he chewing on over there?
Looks like my book sack.
Yeah, what do you got? What do you got? Some chocolate bars in there? He'll find them, believe me. All right.
What's left over of that media food?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. He'll find it in a heartbeat. All right.
Shout out to LSU. Great just game management today in a sloppy, ugly atmosphere.
Yeah, it's one thing I was kind of joking about earlier in the year was I kind of liked the late season start because it wasn't so hot as hell in the first week in September. But the downside of it is how cold it's been the last few games. I mean, where we were sitting in the press box, and of course, it's making us sound like some candy asses. But they had the windows open, and the rain was coming in sideways at us.
Quadruple.
Everybody in the media had towels over our laptops, and it was something to see tonight. But all right, Blaine Smith. What about Ensminger? Is he retiring? Here's the thing on Ensminger. I have so much respect for Steve Ensminger and the job he's done at LSU. He's given LSU his all. He's a former player. He came to LSU as a tight ends coach under Les Miles. And if he wants to retire, let him retire. If he wants to go down and be an analyst, let him be an analyst. If he wants to be a high school liaison or whatever, something like that in the program, then let him do it. I mean, you're talking about a guy who sleeps in his office every night and goes home on Thursday nights. So I think there's going to be change on offense. I think we're going to see 2 new coordinators. But I want it to be as respectful for Steve Ensminger as can be, and I think most LSU fans feel the same way as I do.
Well, let me put it to you like this. Let's look at this for a second. Although you might be right, you know, LSU scored 32 points per game this year. That's with playing 10 all SEC games, right? No fluffers. And you got, you know, all of the controversy. You've had to deal with 3 different quarterbacks. You lost how many starters? How much of your offense? You know, your offensive line struggled how much? You didn't have your whiz kid Joe Brady around. There's some positives to say about him.
And see, and here, that's my, you know, I think the thing that kind of intrigues me is if you go out and you get a hotshot offensive coordinator. I know a lot of people think about, you know, promoting Callaway, who's in the building. And, you know, maybe they do that. Maybe he ends up being a passing game coordinator. But I think that's part of the trap that Ed Orgeron's been in, is that you're promoting guys from within. And so, you know, like Dave Aranda had to, you know, adopt some of Les Miles' coaches. He, you know, when he almost took the A&M job when Jimbo was hired at Texas A&M, he had to fight to get, he wanted Bill Bush to be his safeties coach. And then Corey just had cornerbacks. So if you go out and you hire a crackerjack offensive coordinator, most offensive coordinators want their offensive line coach. So then what do you do? So if you bring in an offensive coordinator in the next couple of weeks and he wants to bring in his offensive line coach, what would that say about James Craig and his ability to finish off this all-important offensive line class when Tristan Lee's, you know, you're fighting for him, you know? So there's a tricky, you know, scenario here. Same thing with a defensive coordinator. A lot of defensive coordinators want their own defensive line coach, depending on what position they coached before they became a defensive coordinator. It can be very, very interesting. Got Christian Lockhart in the building. I don't want to see him go anywhere. He's very valuable in recruiting. You know, is he maybe somebody that now you're able to elevate him to a defensive line coach?
I'd love to see it.
You know,
I think he's a bright mind. I think he's going to be a big name to watch for many years.
I love Christian Lockhart. I've seen him coach at practice, and you're talking about a guy who's now, what, 5 years removed from playing? 4 years?
Yeah. I think
4 or 5 years?
2015 was his last year, yeah. I mean,
yeah, so, Brett Allen. Let's see. Obviously, Bo is gone. Who else do you feel won't be back next year? Like I said, I think the over and under is 4 for guys on the staff now that are returning. I think on offense, Kevin Falk. Look, you got you got Mickey's name in that Title IX stuff. You know, is he going to be okay? You know, what people in the building who's been named in these USA Today stories are going to be okay? You think they're all going to be okay, or is somebody going to, you know, get thrown under the bus? I don't know.
So, you know, it's one of those deals where, you got to be careful with that. Anybody who's involved, who's not.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, if Mickey Joseph's involved there, you know, how much do you get for going at the bat for guys? That's what it's going to come down to. One thing I want to ask about is what are your thoughts on a season where you go 5-5 and then you apply all the
like, you know, Preston and I and Brian was on the other side of him tonight, and we're talking about, you know, what was it? He was saying the 2008 team was.
They went 3-5 in conference.
Yeah.
And this year they went 5-5 in conference. In a lot of ways, this team outperformed other.
But like you said, you don't have the UTSA and the Rice and the
you don't have
Nicholls State. You don't have those 3 wins to make you look, look like an 7-5 or 8-14.
I think that this during a normal season, COVID never comes. I think we're talking about an 8-4 or 9-3 team.
Which most people were 9-3. I was 9-3.
Yeah, I think that is. I think this. So Orgeron.
Most guys like me in the media, by the way, if we think 8-4, we usually go 9-3 just because we don't want to get harassed on message boards. But I think most people were at 9-3.
Yeah. I mean, I had them actually 10-2. I was a little optimistic because I looked at the roster. I was like, dang, they got some dudes. But then Jamar Chase opts out, and then Stingley has some health issues.
Well,
I mean, things happen.
Yeah, see, you're right. If it wasn't COVID, you could see where someone could get the 10-2.
Yeah, I mean,
because you're thinking Tyler Shelvin, Kerry Vincent wouldn't have opted out, Jamar Chase, blah blah blah.
Let's put it like this: the roster you expected to see February 28th, okay, have that roster taken a normal field. I think 9-3 is very possible. I think they probably would have been a little worse than we expected. But if you keep Miles Brennan all season, you get all these dudes he's throwing to staying around. You don't have opt-outs, you don't have injuries. I think it's very possible. I think that helps Orgeron's argument. Orgeron told me a couple weeks ago after the Bama game he's not having to explain to recruits what's going on this season. He said, no, they got a lot of faith. But I guarantee you he's having to talk to recruits and say, look, this is just a one-season hiccup. We're going to be back. I promise you that. I rebuilt this once, and we'll rebuild it again. And now that argument has some serious ammunition behind it because you had two swinging wins.
But also, too, I think there's what we see when you look at the roster of coaches. And there's also stuff in the building that's got to change. There's stuff on the back end that, I've said it on multiple shows, and I'm not saying that there's anybody in that building that's doing a bad job. But I think over a period of time, things can get stale. You can get used to doing the same thing that you're doing over and over again. Not saying there isn't somebody that's not keeping up with the latest trends or modern ways of doing the way they operate. But, you do have people in that building that have been in the football program since the DiNardo years, the Saban years. Miles, Ed Orgeron adopted just about everybody. And I'm not – I always have to give the caveat. I'm not saying that wasn't the right way to do it. But when Ed Orgeron got hired, he didn't have the political capital to say, I want a clean house. I want to get all my people – No, he wanted to keep everybody there that first of all, who would support him in the search and him becoming the not just the interim coach, the head coach, but still. So I wonder if it's going to go beyond just assistant coaches, that there could be some other changes in the building.
Let me ask you this: does having two SEC West teams in the playoff, does that hurt your program?
No, this is a crazy year.
Yeah, you don't think?
No, and I'm of the belief. You think A&M's getting in?
I think so.
What do you guys think? You guys think Texas A&M's getting the playoffs? Because I tell you what, if A&M gets in, I think I've been saying it for weeks and I'm sticking to it. If any of the other teams in the playoffs are hitting on all cylinders that they're capable of, I think A&M gets beat as bad as LSU beat Oklahoma last year.
I mean,
I don't think A&M's good.
I mean, I think if Max Johnson's starting for LSU in that A&M game, I think LSU beats A&M. I mean, imagine that if LSU had beaten A&M and you end your season with 2 wins over top 5 teams.
Ryan Domain will Stingley opt out. No, he won't. He will play next year.
I think opt-outs are more of just a COVID thing. What else I'm noticing, guys, is players who choose to opt out. I've noticed a lot of them have had their draft stock just mysteriously drop. In my opinion, I think scouts are looking at that. Okay, a guy who's willing to opt out a season or opt out a bowl game, they'll also opt out for contract negotiations. So I think COVID, they're going to get excuses, but I see next year going back to normal. I don't think we're going to see tons of people opting out.
I want to talk about Kenneth P. Haynes, who's been sponsoring us all year long, the official attorney of TigerBait.com. 30 years of trial experience representing real people with their legal needs. Jury or judge trial. Kenny has been there and done that. He's a proud graduate of LSU law class of 1989. His family is all LSU. His wife Brenda is a huge fan. They love LSU football, basketball, and big baseball fans as well. His son Kip worked in LSU sports information, graduated in 2018. And give him a call at Rethink Wealth in financial planning in Houston. Giving Kip a plug, super young man, just recently graduated. Grandkids have a new game day jerseys every year. So he's been a TigerBait member since 2006, founding member on our new site since when we relaunched in 2018, one of our most valuable posters on TigerBait. And Kenny says he's been happy to sponsor our post-game talk show all season long. and he's looking for additional partnerships with us for our baseball coverage down the road. So
Very exciting
we've loved having Kenny with us, and super friend of mine, and love his wife Brenda. And I turned them on Elsie's Plate and Pie when they came in a while back. So I think I put a good foot forward with them as well. So
can I just say how exciting it's been, like seeing these live shows, the way they started last year from, just us on the couch to
on the couch and the walk to the car.
the walk to the car too, which I would.
The walk to the car was the first.
Hey, let me tell you, I would have loved to call an audible and do a walk to the car.
Yeah, but I didn't have my props.
If we had the sign, we would have done it from the elevator.
That's one thing we need next year, Kenny, is a foldable sign just in case we get stuck in the rain. You didn't pack any rain gear. I had no rain gear.
I was good.
This thing was a little wet, but it wasn't as bad when we left early. So
I posted a really funny picture of how the 2019 season ended versus the 2020 season.
Gary Bro at Florida wins, they are in. Yeah, that ain't happening.
Well, they're down, 34-17 at halftime? I mean...
Yeah,
no, Bama's going to score a lot. I mean, look, y'all, a lot of people trying to overcomplicate things. I mean, Bama's not losing to anybody this year, right?
Bama, I
Bama
don't...
all the way.
I haven't seen anybody that's within 14 points of Bama in a championship game.
So, here's the thing you got to ask. How far away is Saban from retiring? Maybe.
I don't see him being anywhere close to retiring. I don't see Nick Saban with any less energy than he had 10 years ago. Do I see some more crow's feet and some more wrinkles? Do I think he's a little bit lighter than he was? Maybe. But as far as energy and anything that's starting to look like he's had enough, or, he's one, playoff bounce out from saying I've had enough. If the COVID year didn't, and all the stuff that hoops he had to jump through, and him actually get COVID didn't make him want to retire, then I don't know what will. So.
Well, let me tell you this. How many championships Bear Bryant won?
Go ahead.
6. You know how many he's got?
How many?
6.
Okay.
So 7 puts him one more than him. Which, if I'm not mistaken, that's the record for most championships.
Well, not to say that he's got any worries, but a lot of times it also depends on how much money you spent. How many homes, if has there been any bad investments? Does Miss Terry spending blind? I mean, we have no idea.
Dude, come on. He's got as much money as he needs.
Well, he invested in a Mercedes dealership. His son runs that, right? Wow. I mean, I don't know. Is that Mercedes selling good, or is the BMW place next door beating him out? I don't know. Audi killing him?
By the way, he is tied with Bear Bryant for the most championships for a coach ever. No, those are the only 2 coaches to win 6 championships.
Mark Towery, will Pelini be fired next week? I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or next week, but I don't see any way Bo Pelini's coming back. And I think he's going to, the negotiations have already begun for his buyout, and I think there's several others that are going to get, negotiated buyouts, and you know how that goes. It's if they get a job somewhere that gets deducted from what they're owed from LSU, and it's not all one sum. It's paid out, over time. So
yeah, look, let me tell you this: if you're Bo Pelini, why negotiate? Who the heck's going to pay Bo Pelini anywhere close to 2-point-something million? No, don't negotiate. Take that. Take that and go buy an island to retire on, because he is going to live the dream. Like, from just a greed standpoint, that's the dream. Sign a $7.5 million contract, get fired after 6 months.
What is Saban making right now, by the way?
$11 million a year. Yeah, I believe this.
Remember what I told y'all, and a buddy of mine remember. He goes, Mike, I remember when people were just going berserk over how much the 7 1/4, 7.5 Jimbo
made. Yeah, I mean,
when he got, and I was telling people, I said, y'all remember that, and because his contract runs to 2022. I said, y'all remember in 2022 what people were saying when he signed that contract, how crazy it was.
He makes $8.6 million, by the way, but I don't think he's the highest paid coach.
Who's that?
Nick Saban. Nick Saban makes $8.6.
Right. And now it wasn't even 2 years later. Jimbo's money was already not in the crazy atmosphere. Now, if you got to hire a coach, at a school like LSU, and you want to make a big splash, you better get ready to spend 10 to 12 million. Particularly if you're trying to poach somebody that's got a huge name and you're yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to pay big money. I think what people freaked out about Jim.
Yeah, Mike Douillon.
They paid him 10 years.
Pelini's done
guaranteed.
tomorrow. Heck, it might even been 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Either way, he's not coming back.
Well, look, worth noting, you want to treat Bo Pelini good here. I mean, he understands what it is you're expected to
Look, man.
Look. But understand, this is a guy who won a championship for LSU.
Yeah, look, here's the other thing. It's not like Bo Pelini wanted to come here and fail. I mean, he wanted to be successful as anybody.
Right. Treat him.
I mean, yeah.
Give him till tomorrow, Monday.
There's no reason to be ugly to the guy.
Will you get an advantage firing him on the the Kiffin way of getting fired on the airport versus bring him in tomorrow?
Yeah, Dale Broussard, I do remember that. Remember when we hired Saban at 1.2 a year?
Remember when
that was crazy money.
Remember when he beat Bob Stoops in the championship and he became the highest paid coach? His contract was you win the national championship.
And what did I get him to? Like 3.5?
No. No. 2.5 million and one. Okay, you got $1 more.
Now LSU's coordinators make $2.5 million.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, I mean, Bo Pelini made $2.3 million. So yeah, I mean, more money, less people to throw it at.
Hey guys, do me a favor. I know I asked y'all earlier. Please hit the like button whether you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook. If you're on Facebook, please share it to your Facebook timeline. Much appreciated. If you're enjoying the content, it really helps us. And also, too, just want to let you guys know if you got a business and you want to be a part, we've got sponsorships available for our live shows. We're still going to be doing these through basketball and baseball season, spring football, recruiting. My recruiting show Thursday night had huge numbers. And we've got a lot more of that coming on TigerBait. And I think our rates are as good as anybody. So if you've got a business and you'd love to put your name out there, shoot me an email, mike@tigerbait.com, and we'll get you hooked up with some TigerBait sponsorships. Also, last night, like I mentioned earlier, I was at Karen Crow Neville. I've got a lot of good stuff on Will Campbell last night, and he was at the game tonight. Neville lost to Karen Crow, but he stayed in town and was in Tiger Stadium tonight. What a crazy offensive line prospect he is. If you saw when I went Facebook Live last night in pregame and you saw that 285-pounder move the way he does at about 6'5", he's a beast. Walker Howard was up in the stands with Jamie Howard watching him play since St. Thomas More is doesn't play for a title next week and didn't play last night. So a lot of good stuff coming on TigerBait.com. Please subscribe. As I always say, $99. Choose the annual package because you basically get 3 months free. And if you're looking for a Christmas gift for the LSU fan in your life, go to the front page of TigerBait.com and sign up for a digital gift card. If you give that Christmas gift to an LSU fan, I promise you they'll use it every day of the year. They'll get our newsletters, our text alerts, all of our football, basketball, and baseball coverage, recruiting updates every day, and our premium message board. So please subscribe to TigerBait.com. Give yourself a Christmas gift. I think you'll enjoy it. Kenneth Haynes, I missed the damn show. No, we still got plenty of time, Kenny. We're 30 minutes in, and I already did the talk on you. So you'll have to rewind after we're done. But Kenny, like I said, we much appreciated you being our sponsor of these shows, and love our friendship as well. So what are you seeing in there, Preston?
Hold up. I've been looking at stats.
Hunter Knapp, do you still feel good about Hunter Knapp says, do you still feel good about Savion? Yes, I do. There's nothing to worry about there. And if you saw my top 15 that I put out earlier in the week, he's my number one player in the state of Louisiana. I think he's a beast. Mason Smith, of course, is a 5-star. Sage Ryan, Chris Hilton, Jack Besh, Brian Thomas is still out there as well. It's going to be an interesting recruiting the rest of the way with Tristan Lee. You got the Macananoli kid that didn't sign with Florida State. You got the Utah kid, Moko, that didn't sign. You got the Harvard grad that committed to Auburn, and now he's backing that off. Could you see another Auburn grad transfer on the offensive line that swings in? I think LSU is going to find 2 offensive linemen the rest of the way, and I do think it was a positive that Tristan Lee pulled back and did not sign on Wednesday, because I think had he signed, it probably would have been at Florida that day. But I think he is legitimately torn, and now he says he's not going to be on campus at midterm, and he's going to wait till February. So we'll see how this.
Great comment by Casey. I wanted to thank Casey Campbell for this comment here. I've really enjoyed you guys' show this crazy season. I look forward to this show after every game. Great work. Thank you both. Thank you for being a part of this, Casey.
Yeah,
we love doing this for y'all. A good, insightful comment behind that. Let's see. I got to scroll up a little.
Yeah,
bit.
thank you, Casey. Thanks for the kind words.
I don't have the fancy tools like he does for this show. Ogeron has to stop hiring coaches that he's comfortable with for his friends.
No doubt.
I think I agree. And y'all, that is a very Louisiana culture thing. We like what we know, and Ogeron is no exception. We're probably no exception. It's just part of our
look. And look, you want to have a nice balance. There's nothing wrong with having a seasoned guy there. But I do think that one of the things that you need, Kevin Falk is the youngest assistant coach on the staff, and he's mid 40s. You need some youth. You need 28-year-olds. You need some 34s.
I agree.
You need some African American additions to the staff, no doubt about it. You need more recruiters. You've had too many guys, and look. Ed Orgeron recruits enough for 3 people, no doubt. But particularly once COVID's lifted and it's these guys, it's time for them to go back on the road, you need to have some youth there. You need to have some guys that aren't too far away age-wise from this generation that can talk with them, who's going to get on his PS5 and play games with them online.
Kind of like what we needed at TigerBait, huh?
Yeah.
Get some young talent.
Yeah, this is a guy who I'm giving lines from Stripes, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Caddyshack, and it goes right up. Blazing Saddles goes right over his head.
That's okay. You didn't know.
You didn't know what. And then I'm asking about rap songs, and he's like, "What? You don't know who that is?" I'm like, "No, I don't."
Louisiana cat. Y'all, he didn't know. I'm from Louisiana. He didn't know who made that.
He
didn't know what the name
was. My whole lexicon is Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Caddyshack, Stripes, Coming to America.
Well, I mean, I know that one.
I even hit you with Van Down by the River, and you didn't know it was a Chris Farley skit.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
I mean, that's played on a loop.
Before I was born. So look, Mark Towery. Could Barry Odom be the new DC? I'd say no. We don't. Look, I think that they're very specifically not looking for anybody who hasn't been a play caller. I don't think he wants a retread head coach at the play calling position. I'm not saying don't bring the guy in. I think you should have Will Muschamp on your staff doing something. I don't care what. Get him doing something. But I'm telling you, I know people in that LSU room. He's got some friends. Okay, he likes LSU still.
Michael Bonnet likes him.
Oh, Michael Bonnet loves him.
Michael Bonnet's on the football staff.
So fun story with Michael Bonnet. I was in the office. I used to intern with him. And we would have sit around the lobby after games. Well, when he got fired from Florida, we all sat there doing our little talk around. Michael Bonnet walks in and says, "Man, that sucks, dude. Great guy." And
no, I like him. I like Will.
I
mean, Will helped me when Will's on the staff under Saban. I mean, we talk recruiting. I mean, he's a good dude.
People like Will.
I just think you got to go youth. You've got to go youth.
But you don't have to hire him at DC. Is my point.
Yeah, but my point is, what is he going to come here for? To play golf and hunt and fish?
Yeah,
he's making millions of dollars.
No,
you don't want anybody comfortable like that.
All right. Well, I think that off the field position or something like that. Get you going. You know what do the SEC shorts call it? The Coach Saban Rehabilitation Clinic. Get that.
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
You should have an arsenal of coaches.
Yeah, but those guys are in a different. You're talking about hiring a guy who got a DUI and was caught on camera saying, "Do you know who I am?"
Who cares?
That's different than a guy who's walking away with $15 million. He's probably still getting paid money from Florida as well.
Steve Sarkisian got fired from USC because
I don't want anybody like Muschamp. I don't want any retreads.
Bring them in, man. Let them sit there.
No.
Be the administrative intern. And then when you have a season where your defensive coordinator is really struggling, you don't have to look and say, well, who am I going to replace him with? No one. You had no one this year to do it. So if Muschamp was on staff as like an administrative whatever, guess what? Do like Saban does when he fired Kiffin and plug in the next.
Kenny hit me with the un-PC comment, and I flashed it for a second.
But yeah, guys, look, DC. I think there's 2 names you're going to be looking at: Marcus Freeman defensive coordinator from Cincinnati, who's been a stud there.
And Kenny was
Jim Leonard, defensive coordinator at Wisconsin.
Kenny quoting Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. On TBS they bleep all that out. It's not even there anymore.
Did y'all talk about Boutte catching 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, and running the same route all night? I don't know if it was the same route, but yeah, it was a lot of that crossing route stuff. I mean, Max Johnson has throws he's comfortable with, and when he has to go outside of those throws, he's not very good.
Cameron Rogers echoes what I said. Yes, we need more black coaches, I believe. I really like the defensive coordinator at Cincinnati. I think, first of all, if you could get him, I don't know if he wants to stay in the Midwest. I will say I know that he's going to be on the list. I know that. I've done some digging. If you can get him, if he's interested in the job, if he interviews well, as well as I think he will, he would be the first African-American coordinator at LSU. And they love him up there. Can recruit. Most coordinators can't recruit. Most coordinators don't want to recruit. And this guy's young, former Ohio State Buckeye, calls a great defense for Cincinnati. And I'd love to see him get a chance. So,
Scott Trahan, no on Muschamp, and then Preston, stay in media. I don't know if that's a compliment. Like stick to media, don't do coaching.
Trenton Eubanks enjoying the Peyton and Mullen show. Everybody says hit me with the Sean Payton lookalike, and of course I always say that Preston looks like
Dan Mullen.
Benny from the group ABBA.
See, another one. Old man reference above my head.
Everybody knows who ABBA is.
29 years old, Mike. Come on.
Come on, man.
You're losing me. We're talking about young energy, and you're trying to scare it away. LSU's going to end up with.
I'm going to give you all the '80s references. There's a reason why the Molly Ringwalds sell out every time they play at LaBerge.
Man, we keep this up. Lou Tepper's going to be DC.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Let's see here.
Did Ricks get hurt? He seemed to disappear in the second. I don't see him get hurt.
Yeah, he went down, but I want to get some more info on that. If somebody knows, I missed that. He went out. Did he come back in?
I thought I saw him the whole game. I didn't see him go out, so maybe. I'm gonna tell you this: there was a lot of players who mysteriously didn't play tonight. Like I didn't have anything on Tyrion Davis-Price or what's his name from number 4 being out, running back. I mean, why am I blanking on his name? But anyways, yeah, those guys were out. I had nothing on them. I mean, your leading rusher was Josh Williams tonight. What a former walk-on.
But I like the way he looked, and
sure, he looked fine.
Kenneth Haynes, I have to say, I'm really happy to see the fight in the young guys in the last 2 games. Me too. They could have mailed it in, and they didn't. Didn't quit, and they got it done.
I mean, look. Here's the deal. The future now looks exceptional.
Look at Josh. Josh chiming in. Look at him.
Sibley, yeah, a good friend of TigerBait.
Yeah.
Writer at Louisiana Gridiron Football.
Yep.
I think we both agree that
good,
pretty awesome work.
Super guy. Everybody loves Josh. They didn't throw at him.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, dude, Eli Ricks. Dude, you got to be excited about that.
Tanner Smith, Ricks tweeted about only defending one pass, but glad the team won. Hey, that's all good.
I'm going to have to find that and retweet that, man.
Yeah, Scott said, Orgeron said Price was out. Yes, he was. He wasn't healthy, and not sure exactly what was going on with John Emery.
John Emery. Why did I blank on his name, man?
Let's see. All right, guys. Let me see what else we got. Daniel. God dang it, Daniel. He gave us the pronunciation a few weeks ago.
I don't see it. Where's he commenting at?
Daniel Sayuke.
Oh, so wait.
Phonetically spell it out for me again, Daniel, or did you catch it last time? You remember?
No, I do remember it. It's Sayuke. Sayuki?
Yeah, I love it, whatever it is.
Sayuke.
He came back in briefly. Okay. Thanks, Daniel.
Trenton Eubanks, our freshmen are straight up studs. Imagine what they are going to do with a full season together. I mean, look, yeah, absolutely. In fact, you can argue the season got better when the freshmen started stepping up because, I mean, you had guys like Terrace Marshall leave, and then LSU goes 2-0 without him. It's almost like the chemistry of the team. Instead of next man up, once the next unit is up, the guys who practice together.
What's he doing?
Dude, he's going to town. God, wait, calm down, little guy. We got to put him in puppy jail next week.
Parker's digging through his bag looking for whatever food he's got in
I
there.
got that sandwich in there from the press box.
All right, Daniel says I nailed it. Thanks, Daniel. All right.
Were any recruits at this game?
Yeah, well, I said Will Campbell was there. I know he was there. Man, wait till you guys see. I did a bunch of ISO on him when I shot his game last night, and man, I absolutely love him. Met his dad, met his mom, and super people. And Jamie Howard, Walker Howard in the stands. Man, Neville, I think only has 4 seniors. They got, certainly they ran into a buzzsaw at Carencro, but Neville only has 4 seniors. They're going to be really good next year. So, and Will Campbell, I think he's going to be something else.
Another good compliment.
Don't look now, but Florida is giving Bama a fight. What do you got an update for us?
Pull up the score. Hold up. Give me a second. Computer's being a little slow.
I would give anything for Alabama to get knocked off.
Dude, me too, man. Look, understand this. A lot of people like to do this. Oh, root for the SEC. No. If you're LSU and you care about LSU, they all need to rot in hell, man. I mean, seriously, they should lose every game. But looks like 35-24.
Okay.
Let's run for their money, yeah. I mean, I think we'll both be utterly shocked if Bama doesn't win that game.
Daniel says there's some ruming in the Destrehan area that Emory may look around. Heard it from someone in his family. I hope not. He's got tremendous upside. Yeah. And look, you got Corey Kiner coming in.
And he's a beast.
You got Armani Goodwin, who reminds people of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Huh?
You know what award he just won, right?
Corey Kiner was Mr. Ohio football.
You know who the last Mr. Ohio football at LSU was?
Joe Burrow.
Well, then he's going to go 15-0 and win the Heisman, right?
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, that's what's going to happen. Although I do think LSU landed another Mr. Ohio, Spencer Ware. I believe he was Mr. Ohio too. He was a quarterback.
I went and looked. He wasn't on the list.
Really?
I don't think no.
Because he was a baller there. He played quarterback and he was really good. Tanner Smith with a great compliment. This is a great show. First time watching. Thank you for your work. Tanner, thanks for tuning in for the first time. Hoping to get you in here many more times. Hit that bell.
Man, we hadn't even talked about Kayshon Boutte other than the beginning of the show.
I mean, what can
308 yards. What is it? 14 receptions? Or am I
14 receptions,
3 touchdowns.
Yards, 3 touchdowns, SEC record, LSU record. He broke Josh Reed's record, which was 19.
And he had a couple of drops that probably would have been. I don't know the yard markers, and I need to go watch.
Man, he would have. I mean, it would have been up to 350 or so because he had.
I think he had a couple of drops that would have added probably about 40 yards.
Yeah, and then Max Johnson missed him on a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, sailed him high on the left side. Yeah, he's a straight up beast. That record he broke, Josh Reed's record from 2001. Was 19 years old. He is 18 years old.
John Marion, who do you see transferring from the quarterback position? Look, I don't think it does any good for any of those quarterbacks to start thinking about transfer portals or any of that right now. I think what they need to do is, and it's going to be a smart move, wait to see who the offensive coordinator is going to be, wait to see who the passing game coordinator is and all that. And then those guys are going to come in and say, it's a clean slate. We're having open competition. Nussmeier will be there, TJ, Max. Hopefully Miles Brennan is 100%. He should be by then. And you throw it wide open, and then we'll see how it goes. I do think, somebody isn't going to be there in August. Is it just going to be one guy? Do you maybe lose one in the summer that goes somewhere else? And then you maybe lose a second guy at this time next year, and maybe you're down to 2. And then you'll have Walker Howard, and I know we're trying to see what's going to happen over there at St. Thomas More because of right now, STM has a policy in Lafayette that they don't allow midterm grads, which is kind of like U-High does here in Baton Rouge. So, but I think there might be a way to get that done. I know they're working on that, but I think
Walker Howard's going to be very good at LSU.
I know there's some discussion of LSU wanting to take 2 quarterbacks in the class of 2022. And I think it's wholly dependent on the fact that you can go from thinking, boy, you've got you're in high cotton with 4 quarterbacks on the roster, and just like a couple of summers ago when you lost a couple right there in August, remember? Mm-hmm. It can in a blink of an eye you can go from 4 to 2.
Yeah. We're getting some really good comments in here. Mike Duhan with a really good comment. Preston, you mentioned Jim Leonard as a possible candidate. He runs a 3.4. Do you think O wants to stick to a 4-3, but ultimately, I think you got to go with who you think is the best?
And I wonder if
Let's be honest.
Or he wants a guy who is capable of doing multiple fronts.
If you need a big comeback season next year, what personnel do you think you honestly have a better roster for? The 3-4 or the 4-3?
3-4.
Right, of course. So you need a big.
You still got those tweener.
But it's also possible
edge
he
rushers
switches to a 4-3. We've seen it happen. Josh Sibley, a great guy at Louisiana Gridiron. Running back Williams from Karen Crow is a legit D1 prospect.
Yeah, well, I liked him last night. He's committed to UL Lafayette.
And let me tell you, in terms of like knowing depth of Louisiana talent, dude, Josh Sibley is really good at pointing out some under the radar guys. He's pointing out a few guys to me. It's like, oh, he is really good. Let's see here. Mason Smith's ceiling. That's Scott Flowers. I want to answer this in an interesting way. He could be your head coach and win multiple national championships because I think he's that smart a player. I think
Dustin Brazar says, you ever heard of a freshman player saying his body hurts? Who said that?
I didn't hear that.
You guys fill me in. I must have missed that.
In all fairness, I was in the press conference. I actually didn't buzz in for any questions tonight. I could barely hear anything.
I mean, where do you get hit? I mean, it don't matter if you're 16 years old. If you get hit in a certain place, it ain't going to feel too good.
But I don't know. Unless it's like wear and tear type stuff, it's normal. It's football, man. I mean, look, I was a senior.
Yeah,
I was a senior in high school.
Stacy Harrell asked a question that was asked earlier. I've seen several Eric Gilbert questions. Look, I think we're probably a week or so away from knowing about what's going to happen with Eric Gilbert. I don't think it's a slam dunk that he's necessarily going to be playing for another school next year. I think he can still be back at LSU. I don't know if it's 50-50 or 40-60 or 60-40, or maybe it's as high as 70-30 in LSU's favor. But I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he's not going to be a Tiger next year. They just got to. He's got some stuff to work out, and I think that we'll see how the chips fall there.
So someone mentioned, a lot of people are saying TJ Finley should transfer.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Let me address that.
Gilbert told coach his body hurt. Stacey, I think there's more to it. There's more stuff going on with Eric than that. So trust me on this. That's not just a line. There's several components to the Gilbert situation, and I think people look. The kid's a super kid. Just give him some time.
A lot of people talking about TJ Finley should transfer. I don't think any of them should transfer this year, right? I mean, Miles Brennan is.
Don't hammer Eric Gilbert on social media.
Please. And
don't.
Don't really. I mean, there's no reason to tweet at any player.
Yeah.
And I've always taken with my professional career, and there's a lot of arguments.
There's some stuff there. If you just trust me, that never helps the LSU coaches when they're trying to finesse things. And if a kid goes on a message board or on Twitter and he's getting hammered, it sets them back in a big way.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it definitely hurts the effort. And look, in my career, I've always, if it's an amateur athlete, I've always kind of shielded them from criticism. You could argue I shouldn't, but I do because ultimately.
But what about Cole Taylor tonight?
These are teenagers. Yeah, Cole Taylor's been a beast.
Man. I liked what I've seen from Cole Taylor.
He might scare Reed Gilbert away.
Jack Besh.
No reason not to use both of them.
Mike Duyon. Is it Duyon or Duhan?
I've always heard of Duhan.
I
played with a Jonathan Duhan.
I lived in Lafayette long enough to say Duyon.
All right.
But if I lived in Baton Rouge, I'd say Duhan.
Yeah.
That's like Jacques Doucet or Early Doucet or Jacques Doucet.
Yeah, I mean.
They would always have that battle.
Yeah. Casey Campbell, I really think Brennan and Johnson will battle for QB1. I mean, at this point, Johnson's probably the third in this competition. I think Johnson has the most ceiling, but he has got to clean up his technique and form and make some better decisions. He was a turnover machine. He had, I think he had ended up with 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on his stat line. Get this. Max Johnson accounted for 9 touchdowns, including 1 running, and 1
I'm about 15-0 against Preston on getting the names right. Mike Duyon. Mike is right. See,
I'm gonna start keeping score.
You have to go to Lafayette for you need to go visit your father-in-law and hang out for a little bit
longer. I
long.
don't live in coon-ass country. I mean, Baton Rouge is.
It did me some good. It did me some good because
it's like we're in the South, but it's like
I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, but when you move to the Acadiana area for a while and spend some time, you you get an education.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Brett Allen, it is bad when fans let 18 and 19-year-old kids drive them crazy, but I guess we were all guilty of it at some point. Yeah, and also too, Brett, it's a deal where just a little morsel of information makes some people dangerous. And if you notice with the stuff with Gilbert, it was being one way, and then a couple of days later, people got the info in the media and started to pull back rightfully. And so we'll see what happens.
In terms of QBs transferring, I want to finish up on that. I mean, I'm expecting Miles Brennan will win the job and Max Johnson will have a chance to compete. I still think Miles Brennan's the better quarterback, but you wouldn't expect someone to transfer until Miles Brennan leaves, and then you have a competition with Garrett Nussmeier, and then you have T.J. Finley, and maybe even Walker Howard at that point. I don't know. It depends on how many seasons Miles Brennan wants to stick around. But then after that point, if a guy at the same class or behind you is passing you up, that's when you transfer. You don't transfer when a senior beats you out.
Biff Honeycutt, how good is Brian Thomas Jr. compared to who we have coming in and already have on the roster? I think Brian is a very talented wide receiver. I think in a couple of years, you got to realize he's also a kid who's played a lot of basketball. And when he totally has been concentrated on football for a period of time, I think that the sky's the limit for him. But I also say, man, you added Malik Neighbors to Hilton and Besh. You got Deion Smith from Jackson, Mississippi. It's like, how many wide receivers do you need?
I think Brian Thomas is a guy you make an exception for. But if his name isn't Brian Thomas,
look,
wide receiver, I don't think you need to be recruited.
Look, LSU got a commitment today from Anderson from Carr.
Yeah, but he's a 2022 kid now.
Right, but then you've got Dakota's Crawford committed for next year, and then you've still got You got Shaz Preston at St. James with an offer.
What a beast and what a great.
I mean, so receiver is not an issue for LSU. That people are going nuts over JoJo Earl. That's not. Go nuts for offensive linemen. If you're an LSU recruiting fan, that offensive lineman ain't sexy, but that's who you need to be paying attention to. That's gonna make your team get back into championship contention. Offensive lineman. Be excited about. There's always a shiny object, the athlete who's got the touchdowns on the highlights you're watching. Pay attention to offensive linemen and Emory Jones and Will Campbell next year. That's who you should be the most excited about.
And Mike, 35, 31, Alabama.
Holy smokes.
Man, is Florida coming back, dude?
I would love that.
What do you do? That would be such a mess.
How can LSU beat Florida in this?
Hold up, no, that was a wacky game. Now it was a wacky, foggy game,
and to get beat.
Florida put up 600 yards. I went on this show and I said there's an argument that the better team did not win tonight.
Oh man,
that was my opinion. I mean, I think wonderful for LSU executing and doing what they did. But seriously, there's a lot of things that win LSU's favor, such as he threw a shoe. How about a 57-yard kick and they miss a 51-yard kick?
That's part of the game.
I get it, but Florida's no scrub. That's my point. I think
my point is the way LSU played Florida and the score of that game versus how they played against Alabama.
Hey, let's ask.
And now you got Florida giving Alabama all they want.
LSU plays the way they played tonight and against Florida. What's their record this year?
What was that?
LSU plays the way they played tonight and against Florida. What do they? I mean, you got.
Well, I don't think you lose to Missouri.
And I think Texas A&M.
I mean, what if you played Mississippi State this week?
I think that's another one. I think you're very realistically this team that played tonight and last week is very realistically an 8-2 team because Mississippi State you probably beat them, Missouri you probably beat them, you probably don't beat Auburn because you got beat by 1,000,000 that day. You probably don't beat Alabama, but yeah, realistically you could have beaten Texas A&M and you could have beaten Missouri and Mississippi State. So my point is, the end of the year, this team kind of looked like an 8-2.
Man, I knew. I was thinking it, Joshua, and you said it. He goes, Preston, you lose some cool points for that.
For what?
For your take on the Florida.
Hey, I mean, look.
You got to give LSU their props.
Calls them, howls, I sees them.
Josh is docking you some cool points.
Hey, the scoreboard don't lie. Box score don't lie. It was a wacky win.
How's Preston? Jim, check your mic.
I just scooted it down and pushed it down a little bit. Hey, it is what it is. Maybe it was just.
How's he sound now? How does Preston sound?
We'll figure that out in 45 seconds or so. But yeah, no, it's very. This team, to have a team that could have, looked like an 8-2 team at the end of the year. To me, that's wildly impressive. All Ogeron went through, and in my opinion, it shows that this program is in good hands under Coach Ogeron. This was his biggest job he's had yet.
Brett Allen. Let's also give credit to Cade York this year.
Yeah,
he grew a lot from last year. He has a bigger leg than Cole Tracy, and Tracy was one of the best, no doubt, on Cade York. Preston is high on Zach Von Rosenberg.
Can I say? Zach Von Rosenberg deserves the Ray Guy Award. I've watched him all season. He's pinned him in the back so many times. He's an incredible representative of the program. Very funny, great guy, and he's been incredible this year. He's had just a handful of missed punts. This is me, Preston Guy, lobbying Zach Von Rosenberg. Give him the Ray Guy Award. Period.
Paris Scott, Cardell Thomas ? We're going to see on Cardell. I've been kind of like, look, man, Bradford, Thomas Perry, Cardell Thomas, it's time for you guys. You're now coming up, and when you go to spring practice, you're coming on year 3. It's time to make a move, because you got Domerville and Xavier Hill and other guys, Martinez coming up behind you. You'll have Garrett Dellinger there at midterm. So, yeah. Be great if I think Bradford, if you had to say which guys most likely are in order to make a move and be a guy on LSU's offensive line, of the 3, Bradford is probably your most likely, and we've seen him the most already. And then I think it's Thomas Perry, and I think Cardell Thomas is 3rd, and he needs to make a move. So I get it. He's been hurt. Thomas Perry was hurt as well. But look, they need to get something out of these guys. All right, I think we're about done, huh?
Well, let's give them the last call.
Yeah, last call, guys, and I want to.
I want to hear how many people agree with me. Ray Guy Award for Zach Von Rosenberg. I'm going to pull his stat line real quick, so we can read.
Yeah, but y'all talking about the Ray Guy Award, like we saw last year with LSU sweeping all those awards. To the winner goes the spoils.
Yeah.
The teams that play for championships or in the playoffs or in the top 5, top 10. They usually get the awards, but I don't know. Maybe Ray Guy's different. You guys might follow the Ray Guy Award every year more than I do, and maybe it doesn't matter, and it's truly just the punter. So, but I'd love to see Zach get it as well.
By the way, Ray Guy is a distant relative of mine. Fun story.
Really?
He's like a 3rd cousin of my grandpa. Yeah, something like that. Pops. It's somewhere on the family tree.
I'm old enough to have seen Ray Guy punt.
Oh, yeah.
With Kenny Stabler and
really good player
Jeff Van Egan and all them guys beating my Baltimore Colts. And my childhood hero, Burt Jones.
Yeah. I'll send a memo through the.
I got pictures of me in Baltimore Colts underoos. If my sister ever wanted to hold me hostage, she could do it with she threatened to release that photo.
Yeah. Zach Von Rosenberg this year, 54 punts, 44.1 yards per punt. I don't see an inside the 10 stat here, but I can tell you there's a lot. There's a lot, but 40. I don't think you could. Other than what was his name for Brad Wing in 2011. Other than that one season, this is the best punter season I've ever seen.
All right.
We got any more comments coming in here? Let's see here.
I want to end it with Kenneth. It was fun sponsoring the show this year. I'll do it again unless someone else bids me, Mike. Yeah, I don't know about that, Kenny, but I don't know. I don't want to highball him next year. Might have to negotiate a little bit. Nah, Kenny's my guy. Well, he's already said he's re-upping next year, and we're going to be doing more shows here. He wants to do baseball. We're going to do some baseball, and I'm already talking to some guys, so we're going to recruiting shows. We're going to be doing a ton more of those as well. So Merry Christmas to all of you guys.
Christmas, y'all.
And we're going to be rolling out some shows next week. And subscribe to TigerBait. Give yourself a Merry Christmas. Subscribe for yourself. or if you want to give TigerBait as a gift subscription, go on TigerBait, and we'd love to have it. Digital gift card is a great Christmas gift. So thank you all for participating tonight.
Y'all, seriously, thank y'all for a great season. This has been so exciting. I genuinely want to thank our viewers for making this show something great.
Yep, it's gotten better every week.
Bro, I mean, really.
Yep. So, all right, guys. Merry Christmas. Good night. And check out TigerBait.com. The front page is already loaded with content. I'm about to go tweak it and put some more stuff up. So the work's not done. I'm probably going to, well, it's 10 o'clock. I might be able to still get a meal in here.
Hey, I might be able to get a couple drinks at my Christmas party.
Yep.
Let's do it. Social life, baby.
All right, guys. Merry Christmas. Thanks for participating. We'll see y'all next time.
Deuces.